Hello and welcome back to this channel, and today we'll be treating a very important topic in high school maths. It goes by the name quadratic equation. And by the way, if you miss the previous lesson leading to quadratic equation, it was simple linear equation, and I'll drop the link of the video in the description of this very video. Also, you'll find it in the video. So let's get started with today's topic. And today's topic is quadratic equation, and it's simply an equation that has the highest power of the variable to be 2. So the variable highest power is 2. That's the major difference between it and the linear equation we'll be treating. So most time this linear equation comes in this form: bx plus c equals 0. So the highest power of the variable is 1, and this is why it is what? A linear equation, not a quadratic. So if the highest power of the variable is 2, it is a quadratic equation. So let's introduce the terms in the quadratic equation. So we can see the formula for the quadratic equation to be in this form: ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And we're going to introduce this term gradually. So we have a, we have b, we have c, we have 0 at this end, and then we have x. So let's see what this term means. So there are conventional namings for a, b, c, the right hand side, and x, but I'm going to make it short and concise. So I call the a to be the first term, b to be the second term, c to be the constant. Of course, it's the constant everywhere, and x is the variable, while 0 is the value at the right hand side. So most time you will see people call this to be the coefficient of the first term, b is the coefficient of the second term, and c is a constant. These are all the same. So having known the terms, let's see some methods we can use to solve quadratic equation. So there are different methods which we can use. They are not limited to this, but the most popular ones that I use, or common ones used in high school, are the factorization method, the completing the square method, and the quadratic equation formula. So let's take an example to get started. So let's see our first example, which says x squared minus 7x plus 12 equals 0. And we're going to solve this using the factorization method. Essentially, I like to note out here that most of the questions you see in the objective exam can be factorized. I mean, you can solve it using factorization method. So let's see how we can provide solution to this question. So you can provide solution to this kind of problem if you can factorize this xa into x minus what? B equals what? 0. That is, if you can factorize this term into a bracket like this, then you can actually provide solution to it. So let's see. You need a very good knowledge of thinking here. So solution. So we have x squared minus 7x plus 12 equals 0. So we are thinking of how we can factorize this equation into this kind of form. So let's see. So if we have x squared, we would like to expand this middle term, which is the second term. So we want to replace the middle term with two terms. But here is the problem. We want to expand this middle term, but we have to keep in mind the value of the constant. And why do we have to expand the middle term? So that we can have this bracket factor out. So here is a question. How do we go about expanding this middle term? So this is a $10,000 question. Think of two numbers such that when you add, you have -7, but when you multiply, you have +12. So you can pause the video and think of those two numbers. Believing that you have enough thought and you finally got the answer, I bring you a quick way you can actually find the answer. So we're thinking about 7 and 12. We're thinking of two numbers that we add and to give us 7 -7, or we multiply to give us 12. So here are some numbers that I actually suggested just so you can see how you think. So you have -9 plus 2 is going to give us -7. But when you multiply, it's going to give you -18. So after every thought I had, I found out that -3 and -4 is going to give me -7. But -3 times -4 is going to give me 12. So it simply means that I can replace the middle term with -3 and -4. So instead of writing -7, I can write -3x and -4x. Why? Because -3x minus 4x is -7x. So it's just expansion. And then I can bring down plus 12 equals 0. Now when we succeed in expanding this, it is now easy to put it in a bracket. So let's factor them into a bracket. So we have the first term here, x squared minus 3x. You can put it in a bracket. And then you have this other term here, which is -4x plus 12 equals 0. So now you can actually pick out common terms and then you factor out the bracket. So what is common between these brackets here? So if you check very well, in this bracket, x is common because we have x and we have x. So x is common. So we can bring down x, bring the bracket. So what are we going to multiply to give us x squared? Is still x. Now we have negative here, you bring the negative. So what are we going to multiply to give us 3x? Is still 3. So we factor it out there. Now look at this bracket. What is common? 4x minus 4x and 12. Yeah, 4 is common. So we can bring out 4. And remember, 4 is not positive there, so it's negative. So we have -4. I'll factor it out. And what are we going to multiply to give us -4x? It is still x. And then what are we going to multiply to give us +12? It is now -3, all equal to 0. So this will give us back this. So at the end of the day, you find out that we have x minus 3 and x minus 3. So you can pick one, x minus 3, and then you pick the other term, which is x minus 4. So you have x minus 4 equals 0. Correct? So now you have that x minus 3 is equal to 0, x minus 3 equals 0, or x minus 4 equals 0. So x is either equal to 3 or x equals to what? 4. So this is the answer for this problem. So the biggest strength here is how you can think of these two numbers that will give you the sum and the multiplier.